Hi everyone, this video is to go over some of the basics of Shufflette and to kind of cover some of the things that I've updated but never told anyone about, and also talk about some of the advanced stuff. So here's the basics. There is the back button, which is used for reshuffling. Anytime you don't like the parts that you're going to get, just hit the back button. It gives you a new set of parts. So usually what I do is I just shuffle until I get the parts I want. Then moving objects, pretty simple. Just use one fingertip. Okay, and then if you want to rotate objects, it's two fingertips. So just grab and move. Oh, incidentally, my software allows, well, Shufflette will recognize up to 5 finger points, so you can theoretically grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate objects and move them all simultaneously. It doesn't care. So that's rotation. Scaling, you can perform uniform scales by grabbing with 2 fingers and tapping with a third. It turns red, and now you can scale the object. Okay, and of course, there we are. All right, so there's also panning. So panning is just drag on the canvas itself. And zooming is 2 fingers, pretty simple. And you can also perform a snapshot. So snapshots are done either by pressing, if you're on a tablet, you've got the app switch button, you can hold that down, and that will take a snapshot. Alternatively, you can press the volume down button and the power button at the same time, and that will also take a snapshot. Oops, I accidentally quit out. Yeah, so those volume down and power at the same time. So if you're on a cell phone and you don't have that app switch button, you can use that. What else do I have? There's right. So anyway, I was saying that you've got this kind of 5-fingered multi-touch thing going on. So what this lets you do is, yes, you can pan and rotate 2 objects at once and grab another one. And you can do another thing where, let's say, if I initiate a scale, I can zoom out or actually zoom in. There's a limit to how large you can scale an object and how small you can scale it. That way you don't have like monstrous objects that are hard to manipulate, or tiny objects that you can't even grab. So as you can see, I'm zooming in and out while I have an object in hand. So if I need to, I can bring this object over. I've got it, an object in hand like that. So I can scale it. If I need to, like, say, shove this object here into that little teeny gap over there, then I can just, I can just go over here and zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, right? And so that's, why I have this kind of object in hand business going on. Then you can just shrink it down. There, now it fits. What else can you do? You can perform multi-select. So multi-select is done with this smudge. There's this kind of a finger smudge in the top left corner. So hold that down and then press, or actually, hang on, there, hold that down. That's the other thing, is that tablets typically try to do some kind of palm rejection. So if you kind of like mash with your whole thumb, it won't work because the palm rejection kicks in. But if you just kind of there, now you can just highlight multiple objects by dragging your finger over them. If you drag over here, it'll pan and zoom. And if I tap, you see that turns it off and it turns them back on. If I turn them off, now I can drag unselect. So you can drag select, or you can drag unselect like that. And then, the whole reason why you would say multi-select, if you have multiple selection, you can just tap that, it turns it off. So if I have a multiple selection, now I can rotate them and pan them, and I can also perform a scale, a multi-scale. The multi-scale will constrain it so that, you don't wind up with the little tiny objects becoming microscopic and impossible to grab. Likewise, there's a limit to how much you can scale an object. But if you really need bigger stuff, just zoom in, and objects are already bigger than the screen. So just work with what you got, and then to deselect, just click, it's done. And then I realize that a lot of people are using cell phones and not necessarily tablets. Actually, most of my users, surprisingly, are on cell phone, and I know how hard it is going to be to grab that teeny little thing. And so don't worry, I got your back. So what you can do is grab it with one finger. There's another button I've introduced called a clutch, and clutch takes effect when you have an object in hand. So if I grab this teeny little object, I can press the clutch button, and see that? I can drag while it's clutch. You see it turns red. So I can clutch and I can move, and now it changes the offset. So the whole reason for this is if I need to get this little tiny object in that little space, I can clutch, slide my finger out, and now I can shove it into that little spot. And I can rotate as well, just get it to align there. The other thing is if I need to perform a scaling maneuver, then again, with a tiny little object like this, I can stick it with one finger, clutch, slide over, get it with the other finger, slide over, tap it with a third finger, and now you see it goes into scaling mode. And now that it's in scaling mode, I can just zoom up, and I can also I can still perform my usual operations. So all right, so grab it, slide over, grab it, oops, grab, and then there. Now I can scale it up like so. And then you can clutch and you can squeeze in, and then pull out, clutch and squeeze in, and that's what the clutch is for. The clutch temporarily disables any kind of movements, and when you release it, right, then now I can scale it up. That's the maximum scale. Or I can scale it down, clutch, pull out, scale down, clutch, pull out, scale down, clutch, pull out, scale down. Takes some getting used to, but I figure this is the best I can do with like one hand, like one thumb clutch button operation, and just my way of dealing with these tiny little things without cluttering your view up with additional menu stuff. That comes later. This, I want to add swipe commands, that's planned for later. Non-uniform scale later. Duplication of objects, deletion of objects, actual saving and loading, prefabricated objects, curved objects, different shapes. All stuff that I plan on doing. It's just I have to figure out where to put it into into the interface, using just these few things, because I don't want to throw in menus because and buttons everywhere, because then the interface just gets cluttered. And this multi-touch interface, I'm programming for this multi-touch interface. That if I try to treat it like a desktop program, it becomes unusable and horrible to use very quickly. So anyway, thanks for using Shufflette, everyone, and thanks for all of your input, and we'll see where we go from there.